Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Okay Sports podcast. That's just Oklahoma sports. And based off this weekend and the weekend before and the weekend over, it's just an okay sports state at this point. So that's what we will move forward with. Please like, subscribe, do all the things. We would greatly appreciate it. But we will get to talk some positive because we're going to get to talk some Thunder basketball as well. So
We
again, we
are?
really focus on, yeah, we're going to talk some
All right.
Presty. We're going to talk some Presty.
Okay.
We are going to talk a lot of Oklahoma Sooner sports and a lot of Thunder sports. I am here with my good and best friend, Troy, otherwise known as Corporate Troy. Troy, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. This is old school. Just me and you again
I
for the
know.
first time in a
I
while.
know. It feels very nostalgic right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of feels freeing without your brother. He's not going to go back and watch this, so we can say
Yes, he
whatever we
will.
want.
No, you don't. He will. He is
No,
going to
he
see that.
won't. No, he
He
won't.
does. He is going to listen to this podcast. I 100% can tell you that he will
Even
listen.
better. All right, good. Now that I know that, even better. I'm gonna tee him up. That was great.
Oh my
Jared.
gosh.
And what is he doing? What is he doing tonight?
He is streaming,
Streaming.
but he
Now it's
is
for
doing it for
charity.
charity, and he's
Yeah.
raised over $1,000 for cancer
Well
research.
done.
So
Well done.
that's pretty impressive.
Hey,
Um,
okay, taking it a turn negative is when people do charity stuff and when you give to charity, you have a fundraiser for charity, right?
right.
Do we know what happens with that money? Do we ever see like what actually they use it on?
A lot of places know. Now, I one quick thing on that. A Tennessee fan raised like what was it? I can't remember what it got up to. It was several $1,000s. He like put a thing on Twitter that he was coming to Norman for the game and that they were going to go buy Sooner gear to
Hmm.
give to kids at Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And he kind of put out there, here's my Venmo. If anybody else wants to pitch in, you're welcome to, but you don't have to. We're going to do this regardless. And they ended up with like $2,500 worth of like Sooner gear. And he
That's
showed
really cool.
everything that they bought and took to the hospital. It was awesome.
That's really cool. I don't want to get into the game yet. What have you been watching lately?
We started a show called The Perfect Couple. Um,
What was that?
it's a Netflix show and it's like a whole suspense, like murder mystery kind of thing. So
Huh?
basically, this couple is the perfect couple. They're getting married, and
Okay.
all of a sudden, the night before the wedding, like the best lady turns up dead, and they're trying to decide if it's murder, accident, suicide, and like each episode basically kind of focuses on a person and basically tries to make you think they did it,
That's cool. All
and
right.
then it keeps circling around trying to see if you can figure it out.
Okay. All right. We're in a few different shows. My wife will not watch Agatha all along. She wanted to, and she goes, "You shouldn't be getting into that stuff, that witchcraft and demonic stuff."
Oh
And
gosh.
I was like, well, I want to see what the story does, so I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah,
And
you
and
shouldn't
then
be you shouldn't have watched Harry Potter either, you stinking demon worshiper.
she didn't, but I did. I loved
I
Harry
know, that's what
Potter.
I'm saying. You
Oh, I see what you're saying. But Rings of Power is still phenomenal. Season two,
I gosh,
phenomenal.
I haven't seen a single episode yet.
Gosh, Daryl, like
I'm failing.
it is
I'm
so
failing
good.
at life.
No, 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 you're busy. You're busy. It's all good. But man, I mean, honestly, I'd rather you play our Dynasty League than watch Rings of Power,
Hey,
frankly.
I am the
You're doing
one
great. You're doing great.
I
Like
have
you had a run where you were really busy, right? Or
yep.
like 3 or 4 weeks where you were really, really busy and we may have had to be like, hey, can you get your game played? But recently you've been wonderful. It's
Yeah.
been Jared.
And when y'all did that to me, it's the week I lost because I was like in such a frenzy. I literally drove home as fast as I could. Like, think I made a peanut butter and jelly and was eating it as I was playing so I could hurry and get back to whatever meeting I had that day. And I lost.
All right, let's talk about that. I want to talk about that peanut butter and jelly you had. Um, what is the best peanut butter and jelly? How does your peanut butter and jelly go?
I,
Like, what do you make? What do you put on it? What kind of jelly? What kind of bread? the peanut butter, all the
I
things.
mean, I would do crunchy peanut butter if anybody in my house would do it. It would be crunchy peanut butter
Are
by
you the only
Jif.
one that likes crunchy peanut butter?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
like Evan
mean,
would eat crunchy, but she's not going to go buy it and put it in the pantry. No. So it'd be crunchy peanut
so
butter.
it's
It would
okay.
be grape jelly all the way. And
Grape
it can
jelly. Okay.
yes, and it cannot be like Evan when she makes a peanut butter and jelly, it's like 8 parts peanut butter and like half part bread, half part jelly. It's too much. It's a little. It's
So
a.
the ratio is important. So what is the right ratio
I don't know what the ratio would turn out, but you just need a solid layer, like not a thick layer. Definitely not like some people do. Just like it barely covers the bread. You know what I'm saying? It just needs to be a good
of what? Of what? The jelly or
of
the
of
peanut
the
butter?
peanut butter. Peanut
Okay. All
butter.
right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then jelly's kind of a little bit, just slightly less. And the bread's got to be a quality white, like a really fresh, soft white bread.
Okay. So this is where you and I differ.
Okay.
I am all about the honey oat bread,
Oh,
where it's a
I'm okay with that. It's not my favorite,
I
but I'm okay with it.
so and that's why I use creamy peanut butter because that crunch of the honey oat, the oats
Yeah.
inside the bread,
Yep.
I
Yep.
get that
Yep.
crunch instead of that. And so I do about 60% peanut butter, 40% jelly. I
Okay.
want I
Okay.
want I don't want 80/20. I want the 60
Yeah,
40.
I could see that. I'm with you. I'm with you.
And when I do the 60 40, I do half on one side of the peanut butter, half on the other, and then I do the jelly on one on in between of the peanut butter.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't
So
do
it
that.
gets a little messy because like spreading it on peanut butter can get a little annoying, but you have a nice sandwich of the jam in between. And for me, it's the Welch's strawberry jam.
I'm okay with that. And see, I need it on the bread because I'm the sicko that kind of likes it when the bread soaks up the jelly a little bit. Like I like that.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite. That's why I like the peanut butter on both
Yeah,
sides.
I
And then
see
you got to
that.
cut it diagonal. You got to cut it diagonal, not half, not half and half.
I'm all in. No cutting. Like
Oh yeah,
let's do this.
if I could, if that first bite with the triangle at the end, that's the best bite right there.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I love it.
I'm trying to stall because I don't want to talk about what we're about to
Well,
talk about.
we're gonna talk because we got an Auburn game to talk about. We got we got too much to talk about. So let's talk about this Tennessee game that you and I both were at. We were actually not sitting far from one another at said game. And we're gonna do this different.
We did not see each other outside of the initial high. Let's
No,
do this.
we did
And
not.
because we're like, nope.
I knew you weren't gonna talk to me. So let's start. We're gonna do this different. We're gonna start with the positive because there's too much negative. So we're gonna
All
start with
right.
the positive. And the positive overall is just simply this. This freaking defense is the real deal. Now, let me just go ahead and say some things right now. I questioned our defensive ends for several weeks and whether or not they were any
Going
good.
into the season, all the things. Yeah, you've been saying it for a while.
But they've been very good 2 weeks. By the way, Trace Ford, welcome to Norman, Oklahoma, my friend. Welcome. He
Dude,
had a whale of it, and he has looked awesome the last 2 weeks.
he played Cheetah whenever Kendall went
Yes.
out.
Yes. And it was
That
actually
was a revelation.
the only bad moment for Trace Ford the whole night. I think you may have already left, but there was a point in the second half where he was kind of playing that cheetah position and he got his call. And in his body language, you knew instantly they told him to drop into coverage and not blitz. And he was pissed.
Well, there was another one I watched, and you could see his body language. He didn't know what he was doing in that moment.
Yeah, yeah.
There was no looking around the whole time, and the snap goes, and he's just playing instinctive football at that point.
Yeah. And did great. Eli Bowen, James Hart or Jaden Hardy, welcome to the table. Guys
Oh,
played very
dude.
good in the second half. RSJ's an absolute dog. Lewis Carter, absolute dog. David Stone, a great flash in the second
hmm
half against a
hmm
really good offensive line.
R. Mason continues
R.
to
Mason.
show.
And look, that's the thing. It's the depth. I mean, they look, the very first series at Stutzman and Kip Lewis. Second series, it was Kobe and it was Lewis Carter. And that's the play where Lewis Carter destroyed Squirrel, whatever his freaking name is,
hmm
coming on that little swing pass. I mean, like, they got dudes for days, man. Dominic
on
Williams is a
def
dude. DJ Terry's a
dude.
dude. Like,
And since we're talking about the defense, hope like shout out to full recovery for Kendall Dolby. That was brutal
yeah, that
watching
was
that,
brutal.
watching back. But guess what? Like, yes, he's been playing awesome, but dude, like Deshaun is coming back soon, right? Maybe not this week. He's still questionable this week, but we got dudes, right?
Yeah.
So like it's a hit, but it's not as big of a hit as it would have been like last year or 4 years ago or
I
whatever.
think later on as we move forward, there's going to be some games where we're going to notice it more.
Probably.
I do think this game we didn't see it as much because I know that Tennessee still took some shots in the second half and things like that, but they really did pull back and really, I mean, they ran the ball 54 times. And so in that kind
For
of
what was the
game,
average again? What was the average, if you would
I
please?
believe it was like 2.7, 2.8.
2.9. 2.9 was the final average.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can ask for. A team that was averaging almost 8 yards a carry coming into the game. I mean,
And then they were
so,
getting to Nico. They forced two fumbles.
yep.
That's why people say Heupel back the reins. Like, actually, no, he didn't. If you go look at their blitz percentage on Hawkins in the second half, plus he did the smart thing. He did the smart thing of in the second half. He knew our offense couldn't do anything against their defense, and he was like, "They're getting home to Nico. Like
Hmm.
their defense is elite. So let's just try to get out of here with this W and preserve my boys, my young boys' confidence here."
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I know that the PFF thing says the percentage blitz wise was higher. Maybe it was, but I'm just telling you right now, there was a lot of prevent defense against Michael
Well, then in
Hawkins.
the back end, it was more shell. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I,
Like
and
it was a little bit more shell.
and
But
so
all that being said, we're back on the defense, like getting home, getting to Nico, forcing the turnovers, keeping us in that game where it could have gone south really quick and it never did.
no.
Like run defense is elite.
Yep.
Pass defense was great. I mean,
Hmm.
we had that slip up one time with was it Woody that got worked?
Kanai got worked on one and Woody got worked on one.
Yeah. Um and you're gonna give up plays against an elite offense like that.
100%.
But it's about minimizing the damage that those do. And so I give that defense like all the credit in the world. Plus, I would like to point out that I know Stutzman only had 3 tackles in that
Oh, he
game.
played great
He
though.
was schemed. They schemed to specifically stop him
Yeah.
the entire night.
Yeah. They either made sure they had two people going his direction in some way, shape, or form, or the action moved away from him in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the greatest thing about the defense, honestly, like not just the play, they played 4 quarters in a game that it was
You're so right.
obvious
Good point.
that the offense was awful and they
Yep.
never quit. And as a matter of fact, you could see defensive guys on the sideline going to offensive guys going, "Come on, man, we got you. Like we
Hmm.
got you." After the game, apparently there were some great quotes and some locker room discussion of, "Look, dude, we're in this together." I don't know how long that can last with the way it is, but look, I don't know if I could have played that hard and that ridiculous of defense for 4 quarters, knowing what our offense was
It was
putting out
great.
there.
It was
It
great.
was
All
fantastic.
another good side of the game was I thought, I mean, we have a punter,
We have a weapon at punter, is
dude.
what we
Like
have,
that dude flips the field every time.
and does everything he can to put it inside the 20-yard line.
Yeah, like
Does
he's
not kick it in the end zone very often.
he's really good.
Yeah. Whereas
Did
place
you did you
kicker, ugh.
don't yeah, whatever. But we're talking about the good in the moment. But did you notice the Auburn punter was ambidextrous? He was kicking left or right footed.
I did not pay attention to that.
There was a sit next to me and he was like, "That dude just kicked with his left foot. Let's watch the next time." Was with the right foot next time, and a couple kicks later is the left foot again. It was weird.
That is kind of crazy. That whole rugby kick stuff is wild, dude. I don't Yeah, it is what it is. So,
Anything else? Yeah, I guess another good thing.
okay.
We finally had a coming out party of Mr. Petaway a little bit.
We did. We did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He
He
had
had
some
some nice
moments.
plays. Yeah,
He
yeah.
had some flashes. He had some
Um,
flashes.
the crowd. I thought the crowd
Yeah, we
was,
do. That does need to be in the past. That look, it was awesome.
yeah.
That was I don't know that it was quite jump around, but I mean, it was
No, it
hard to
wasn't jumping around.
it was not going to be jump around with the way the game unfolded.
Right.
The start of the game, the first half was jump around quality.
If if we would have scored to make it 10-10,
Oh
dude,
gosh.
that crowd was about to erupt
Yes.
if that happens.
Yes.
And kudos, honestly, kudos to the Tennessee fans. I've seen on Twitter, I interacted with some of them. Like they're cool. They're fine. I
They
liked
were
seeing them and
fun.
meeting
Like
them.
and we experienced that the last time that we did the home and home with them. They will talk smack, but they do it in a way that this is fun. Like
Yeah.
this is not our life. This is not, you know, we're here to, you know, totally disrespect you just for the sake of saying that, with all due respect, I can say whatever I want to say kind of stuff, like
Right.
they were very fun and interactive. It was cool. They had a great crowd. They were loud for the number that they had there compared to us. They were a loud bunch too, and it was great.
Yeah.
But no, Sooner Nation, without a doubt, from a fan perspective and an atmosphere perspective, said we are SEC ready. That there's no
Hmm.
question about that. And
Hmm.
same defensively. So, all right, we're moving to it. Let's get to the negative. And I'm just going to start going because I know that you got stuff. Here's the deal, man. O line's bad, bad. It's the worst unit on the field, period. Right. And from a blocking standpoint, I'm including the tight ends in it. It is gross what is being put out there from a trench perspective on this squad. It is ridiculous. Every single running back we have has a deficiency that for some reason is not getting any better after 4 weeks into the season, and some of them being here their second and third year.
Who would you say is the number one running back right now?
Barnes.
I think he's looked the best total package. Tatum's
Yes,
not doesn't look like Tatum's going to play
he's out. It
on
is
Saturday.
official.
Yeah.
He is listed as out for Saturday.
Yeah. And so I think he runs like incredible. He's got great vision. He runs the ball incredible. But like we've talked about, he can't block a piece of paper coming at him.
No. If you have to run a pass play with him on the field right now, you're putting your quarterback in danger. Sawchuk sees it well. He's just not big enough or strong enough to take on blitzers. He gets blown up. He cannot see creases to save his life. He needs a
Well,
hole, not a crease. He needs a
yeah, yeah,
hole.
yeah.
And it's
But they
bad.
don't run him outside. His biggest strength is his speed, and they have not one time all year in 4 games run him off tackle. It's always half dives.
They've given him a little pass on the swing against Tulane. That's been about it. I
Yeah.
agree with you that most of it's been inside. That's been it.
Which I would think Barnes would be the side runner guy, but
The
that's just
hey,
me.
the outside zone they gave him against Tennessee was a great run until nobody blocked the safety and he about killed him coming down the
Yeah,
sideline.
yeah, yeah.
You know, the wide receivers, I understand they're all hurt. I get it. Like we are hurt.
It is crazy. It is absolutely
We
crazy
are
how hurt we
so
are.
down on wide receiver. But look, they don't even know what route to run. They don't know how to
Oh,
catch the ball. They like they refuse to block downfield, and they are. You want to talk about Charmin? They are as soft as anybody on this team. If they get a touch, they are going to be rerouted by a defensive back every time. If they are trying to block, they will be shed like they're a junior hire. None of it. They can't do any of it. Petaway was the one positive flash you mentioned. Like for me, I say that. Zion Kearney as well, because the long run that Petaway had on his over route, it was Kearney that was down the field blocking for him that gave him another 10 or 15 yards on the play before they finally knocked him out on that. The play calling makes no sense at times. At other times, it's really good and the players can't get it. And so now let's get into what everybody's talking about. JFA was bad, bad. I want to say that up front. And he should have been benched within that game. he should have been benched. I do not deny any of that. Now, I think it is very important as we continue moving forward, though, that we acknowledge the fact that this is not all Jackson Arnold's fault. It is not. And I will continue to say, go watch the Temple game. If the receivers catch the freaking ball, he goes 21 of 25 for somewhere between 235 and 265 for 6 or 7 touchdowns.
All right, so you brought up. Okay. Let's dive into this. We talked about we're gonna discuss this. You're like it's not all Jackson Arnold's fault. How would you split the blame up right now?
I don't know. I mean, because like
I
again,
gave you half a day to think about it.
I know we did, but like, look, I just want to line this out again. Okay, the O line struggles. Now, are there times they block it up well? Yes, there are. And there are times when they block it up well that Jackson makes either a bad throw, bad read, or a receiver runs a wrong route, or they just drop the freaking ball when he puts it in their hands. So it's spread everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
There have been some zone reads in play. Now, here's what I'm still trying to figure out, though, Troy, because when you go back to that Temple game, again, we've talked about it at nauseum, or at least I have. The throw he makes to Farouk is a freaking dime, and he takes a shot dead in the chest. The next good throw he has is the Burke, like, little jitterbug slant that he runs down the goal line, and literally, it is a snap, jitter, cut straight to the post, and the ball is out, and he gets ear-holed as soon as he throws that ball. He had Hester drop touchdown passes. He had Hester drop what potentially was 2 touchdown passes. He's had Thompson drop, I think, 4 or 5 balls on the season at this point. He's had Raggins dropping the ball left and right. He had Burks drop the dime that he put to him in the Tulane game for a 3rd down conversion, right? The Temple game, we were all frustrated because he threw about 6 3rd down balls that were all caught anywhere from 1 to 3 yards short of the sticks, which prevented the drive from moving forward, not because Jackson didn't do his job, but because the receivers didn't do their job, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got run plays that when it's a 5-man box and you've got a zone read or an RPO, the box is telling you, hand off the ball, and you do, and you go negative yards because you suck at blocking anywhere up the middle. What I'm trying to figure out with what we saw at Jackson in the Temple game is this, or I mean in the Tennessee game. It's a huge game. If you win that game, you got something cooking, but the reality is I don't think Jackson Arnold trusts a single soul on this team. I don't think he trusts his coach to call the right play. I don't think he trusts his line to block. I don't think he trusts his running backs to find a hole, and I don't think he trusts his receivers to catch freaking football. And so at that point, you start making horrible decisions because number one, you don't trust anybody. And then number two, when you do take the ball into your own hands, you do really stupid things because you're not sure where the heck you need to go because the play is supposed to be this, but I don't trust the play call. I don't trust any of these guys to make a play. And now I got to just try to create a rabbit out of a hat. And so I'm just trying something and it leads to trouble. I mean, again, a perfect case in point. I about lost it on an OU fan in up there. I got so mad. The play where he got the ball and immediately got pressure and then somehow did that little funky spin move and worked his way out and looked like he was going to run and then he dumped it to Bauer Sharp. Now, I know that ball got tipped by the D lineman as it came out of his hand. It hit Bauer Sharp right in the hands.
Yeah, it did. He was a little behind him because of the tip, but it hit him in the hands. Bauer has to come down with that.
It has to come down. Like those kinds of plays, what I don't understand what, like, he is trying to be Superman for this squad because he knows how good that defense is.
Yep. And so this is where I'm at. I had an argument with a buddy earlier today, and I called you and I was kind of hot. And
Yeah, you were.
and here's the thing. Like, I think Jackson Arnold is still a 5-star dude, right? He
Yes.
has every tool in the toolbox that you want for a quarterback.
Yes.
I think because of everything that you just lined out, from the blocking to the play calling to the receivers, all of it. I think because of all of that, it has it has really, really affected him. And
100%.
so I don't disagree with the decision to pull him
No.
in the end of the second quarter.
Nope.
I don't disagree with the decision even to play Hawkins in at Auburn to start
Yeah.
Hawkins. I agree with all of that, actually. I would have done the same thing. Uh, but this is an indictment on Latrell. This is an indictment on Bill Bedenbaugh, an indictment on the honestly, like, don't even have a QB coach, do we?
We do. And this keeps
Who?
getting said. So they hired the former offensive coordinator slash quarterbacks coach for Duke when what's his bucket left Duke and went to A&M. He didn't go with him.
Okay, okay, all
And
right,
he's an analyst, and now analysts are allowed to coach
okay.
players on the field.
So, but all of that being said, nobody is putting Jackson Arnold in the right situations.
No.
And so, where Jackson Arnold still has a lot of blame to take in this
Yes.
because you cannot, I don't care, is a stupid as stupid can get play call when you're calling that wide receiver screen. It was really like a RPO look, right?
Yeah.
Run pass option. But he throws the screen from the far hash mark while he's getting ear hold,
Yeah.
right? That I mean, don't call the play. I'm sorry. Don't give him the options. Start dumbing it down. Start making the game simple. You have not made the game simple for Jackson Arnold, so he's thinking too much. What we see this so many times in sports when the athlete starts to think and starts and when I say think, I'm talking about like more than the more than the muscle memory, more than
Yeah.
you see this and you do this, you this and you go. When you start to second guess everything that you do, everything that you see and you feel should be right and it is not, you start second guessing, you're done.
Yeah.
Like you're done. And should he have thrown that ball? No, he should not have thrown that ball that went lateral. He should not have fumbled the ball when he's pulling like an RPO um,
Power run.
and
Yeah.
a power run, and they do the counter, the GT counter, and he follows his blockers. He gets hit by the side and just fumbles it right
Yeah.
on the five. Um, it could not have gone worse for him with all of that. So, but at the same time, and I know you were talking about like there and prevent defense and everything. Michael Hawkins comes in, and it did feel like Seth Luttrell changed how he play called a little bit. Maybe he didn't, but I didn't see any more RPO when Hawkins came in. And it's probably because they hadn't practiced it like we talked about before. Um, just trying to get into plays that he knows. But like there was a Hawkins comes in and there was a who was it? Maybe it was Kearney. But he runs like a 12-yard out. He's in the
Reagan's. It
slot,
was
Reagan's,
Reagan's.
and 12 yards out. Hawkins sees it. And from where we were sitting, Daryl, the angle we were sitting, I'm like, that out's open.
Yeah.
Before he cut. I'm
Yeah.
like, if he's going out, the defender was on his inside hip,
Yeah.
the cornerback or linebacker had sucked up because they had somebody that stayed around the line of scrimmage. It was like a 12-yard out from there a
Yeah.
lot. And we see it before it happens. And like if this is an out of that ball, he puts it just over the outstretched hand of the defender and on the front end, and it's a beautiful ball.
It was
Beautiful ball.
gorgeous. It
And
was
he
gorgeous.
gets what you call it, like quarterback
Oh, roughing the
personal
passer.
foul, roughing the
Yeah.
passer. Thank you. Good Lord. So I thought that was wonderful. But the thing is, he can pull things more than Jackson Arnold can. And that's the only reason I think he might be the answer going forward. Because if they come at him immediately, guess what? Like you better be doing contain at the same time, or else he's going to get at you. And he is a special athlete from that
Yeah.
point of
He's definitely a much more electric runner. And so yeah, I'm with you. For me, when you ask like who to blame and you and Jared, but like when I try to look at the whole context of the situation, this is Seth Luttrell's first year running all this stuff. And I will
Mhm.
say this. I believe, I don't have any inside information, but I believe Seth is doing everything he can to blend Joe John Finley and Levy's offense into his because that's what Jackson was comfortable with. And that's what Jackson knew. So I think he's trying to run an offense that's not his. He has never run this kind of offense anywhere he's been.
Yeah.
Like the run schemes are the same run schemes we had last year, which by the way, Gabe Eichert, Teddy Lehman, all those guys hated the run schemes last year. And it's the same run schemes. We haven't changed that. So we got that going for us, right? But I think he was trying to ease, if you will, into all those things or whatever. Now, it's his first year with a new quarterback. Joe John Finley's been here for like 3 seasons, and he came here with basically Braden Willis and no other tight ends at all in his room, right? DeMarco's been here now for whatever it's been, 4 or 5 years. His room's deep. I still think have a lot of question marks about rotations with him. I think that there's something there. Now, the guy that's been here for 10 years, his name's Bill Beatonbow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, everybody goes, so the O line just needs to get healthy. What is the healthy line going to do? Like, let's just be clear. Every insider that just keeps going, they just need to get healthy. Okay, insider folks, who did you tell us was by far Gabe Eichert? Who did you tell us was by far the best O lineman on this entire O line? Who did we hear all spring, all summer, all fall was the best O lineman we had?
I don't know what were they saying? Sexton?
Fabechi, Fabechi Wee Woo.
Oh, Wee Woo. What a fun
That
name, by
that
the way.
guy's a dude. He's built in the guard lab. Yada yada, and he is average. He is average. He has no physicality, in my opinion. He doesn't know what he's doing half the time. It's all over the map. Jacob Sexton. He ain't. Are you telling me? And that's the other guy, right? It was Fabechi and you know what you're getting in those two. What are you getting in Sexton? You got some podcasts on about, oh, this guy's a future first round pick. Show me where he's got movement on anybody. Show me when he's in a pass drop set on a tackle at tackle with a fast end that he keeps up with them and actually holds the edge. He doesn't. So if Fabechi was head and shoulders better than everybody, now you want me to believe that if we get everybody healthy, that this line's just going to take off. Like Branson Hickman was out there, and I understand he wasn't healthy, but tell me what you saw from him that made you think, you know what, if we got 23% more of him, he would dominate the middle. And at the end of the day, all these things we're talking about, if there was a run game, a lot of it would be fixed. And you don't have a run game, not because you don't have backs. You don't have a run game because you have no space and no movement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, Bill, you've been here for 10 years. You've had one Joe Moore Award line. And then everything else from that, and that's the other thing that cracks. Well, Bill. And I understand that Bill's got all the draft picks. I get it. Tyler Guyton's a first round pick. I get it. On and on. But as far as a unit goes, that Baker Rose Bowl unit is the best unit he's ever had. After that, every line he's had has been average in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
They've been average in the Big 12. But now we're going to arrive in the SEC and everybody, Bill, I trust. What? Because he went and got an SMU guy and a North Texas guy. Like, I'm sorry, man. Heath Ozeta, what are you seeing? Like, everybody, Heath Ozeta's terrible. Well, who brought him here?
Yeah.
We went and paid big money for Fabechi. Now, the problem that sucks with me saying that, though, is I have to admit this. Bill's recruiting has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does have EPL there, who I think everyone's high on. There is Eugene Brooks there, who I think everybody's high on. You got Fasusi coming in. You got Foje coming in. But you better play them next year.
Yeah. The problem is we needed those guys ready now. And they're not. They're a year out minimum. And so
Heath
and it could
Ozeta
be
ain't
more
ready,
than
and he's
that.
been there for 2 years, and he ain't ready. Sexton's on year
Yeah.
3, and I know he's been hurt. He ain't ready.
Yeah. So for me, the blame, I put the blame, I'm gonna put injuries in there. I'll put injuries as a blame in itself, right?
Sure.
I'm gonna put like 20% blame on BV because this is his team.
Yep.
The buck stops with him. He makes all the decisions. He makes personnel decisions. He has final say in who they're recruiting, all of it, right? He can make any veto he wants. He's got that power.
Yep.
So it's on him. And what's interesting on the in the press conference uh, is I saw one comment that really stuck out to me um, yesterday, which was we're running schemes in practice. We're practicing schemes and we're not running them in game.
Well, he
I
was
don't
talking
know
about the
why.
goal line safety.
Yeah.
That's not what we practiced all week. And it's a terrible design,
Oh,
and it was a terrible
it
play to call.
probably Seth Luttrell's worst play call.
Yeah.
Probably the worst play call. You in that spot, and yes, the inexperienced, terrible O line got you there because they had a false start. I get it. But you run up the middle with your weakest part of your entire team against their strongest part of their entire team.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And you know they're coming. They want that safety in that spot.
Yep.
And you know they're coming. And you just run right at them. Literally makes zero sense to me. No sense. But I'm gonna so back to BV. Buck stops with him. So
Yep.
he has to take some blame. I'm going to put I'm going to put 20% on Jackson Arnold. I'm going to put 20% on I'm going to put 10% on injuries and then 50% on Seth Luttrell. That's me. Because what you said, he's trying to blend offenses and everything like that. Whatever you have done, it is your job as offensive coordinator to put the players you have in the best possible spots. You
Correct.
have to know your players' strengths and weaknesses. You have to put them in situations that they can perform and do the right thing. You have not done that yet. Not
Mm-hmm.
one time have you done that. And the only reason it looked good with Michael Hawkins is because he's a special kind of athlete.
Yeah.
And by the way, the dude, all we talk about is his legs. The dude can sling it too.
Oh,
He
he's
can
got a
sling it.
cannon. And,
Yeah.
and I'll say this. One of the other positives to me in the game was this. He looked cool the
He
whole
couldn't,
time.
yeah, composed. Yeah, absolutely.
He
And he was
looked,
getting hit.
he was getting hit. I mean, the game is, it was still in reach, even though it
Yeah.
didn't really feel like it was in reach. And he just never let, even with the first two series, he went 3-and-out.
Yeah.
He never came
So,
back with a deer in the headlights look. So I,
no,
I
he
like the
didn't.
kid a lot. I mean, I
I did
do,
too.
but
I did too. And that's where even in, you saw one half of football we've seen basically with Michael Hawkins. And he looks like he has a better feel for the position than Jackson Arnold right now. Um, in the Jackson Arnold and like, but I'm sorry, Seth Luttrell play calling is atrocious. And I didn't put the O line in there. Did I put the O line in there? I didn't put the O line in there.
mm-mm.
O line has a lot of blame too. So I don't know, another 20%. I know my math is completely off, but
At 160%, this is
100,
what we
yeah.
have.
But I am under the impression, for me personally, Seth Luttrell takes the blame on this one, and I think Kerry Murdoch said this on the Morning Animals. He should be coaching for his job for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Oh, I
And
do
I
agree with that.
and because play calling has been bad, putting guys in the right situation has been bad. The scheme, everything has been bad,
Yeah.
bad, bad. For me, it is more on Slow than anybody else. There's a lot of parts that have the play with it. Wide receivers have been terrible, but again, our four of our top five receivers are out. That's like that is brutal. Like I'm sorry, that is brutal. And yes, we would love to see Raggins and Kearney and Burks play a little better and Petaway and everything, but like it's brutal when you lose. Like, think about it. We were talking about like one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the entire country, top
Hmm.
10 wide receiver room in the entire country. Nick Anderson on one end,
Yep.
Andrell Anthony. Farouk was the senior veteran, right? Deion Burks is the freak coming in. You got Jaden Gibson making a run. You got nobody except for Burks, and now he's out. It's like
Doubtful. He's or probable. He's probable. Questionable. Something.
I saw him on question, but
Questionable.
either or. But that is wild to me.
Yeah.
That is absolutely wild.
And that's the other thing that, like you said, so percentage wise, I'll say the same. 10% goes on injuries. I mean, it is insane how many injuries they have. And I do get the O line's banged up. I get it. I get that wide receivers are. I mean, we're literally running our seventh, eighth, and ninth receiver out there right now.
Yeah,
That is worth discussing, right? So I do think 10% goes there. Um, I do think for this early part, you have to put about 10% on Jackson Arnold because look, at the end of the day, even though your team needs you
hmm
and you know the unit is struggling, your job still has to be to do your job.
hmm
The minute that you start trying to do everybody's job is when it comes apart and you're going to lose it. And I thought that was one of the things we saw from Michael Hawkins. You know, when guys dropped the ball or they didn't get open or whatever happened or somebody didn't make a block, he just moved on about his business to the next play because I did my job, somebody else didn't, and we're just going to keep moving. And
but
that's
it's
what you have to
almost
do.
it's like think about it in real life, right? Let's think about a movie. Like we go to listen. There's a movie we want to go see,
Yep.
and somebody tells us somebody tells us like, man, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. You're like, man, I still want to see that movie. I'm gonna go see. And you're like, oh, that wasn't as he said it was. And so you have a positive perception on the movie.
Right.
Jackson Arnold goes in thinking I'm about to have one of the best offenses in the country, all these wide receivers, O line's going to protect me. And it's not that whatsoever. And he is a shell of himself. Hawkins goes in, I know this sucks,
Yeah.
right? His expectation is completely different, right?
Yeah.
I know this is bad. I got to come in and Superman this thing, and I can do it. He's got that confidence to do it. And like, and he starts doing well. So it's a different expectation that Hawkins is coming in knowing he's got to make a few more things happen with his legs, which is just this is just a wild turn of events. If all the things we talked about preseason, before the season started, off season, right? All the good things that we saw, we talked about the goods and the bads, the
Yep.
pros and the cons that could happen on both sides of the ball, right? All the good things are happening for the defense, and all the bad things that we were afraid of is happening to the offense. Isn't
Yeah.
it wild?
It is wild. It's like two different football teams. It really
It is
is.
100%. And I remember a couple years ago, you were so on the kick of like, where's our complimentary football? We're so far outside of even wanting to get a complimentary football right
I
now. It's just we just want to play
mm-mm.
competent football.
Yeah, competent offense is all we need. Like, I just need a competent offense from a game management side of things, scheme side. I mean, all of it. So there's that. Um, I do think BV's got to take some. I'm with you on that. I probably only put his at like 10% as well.
You know,
Um, I think 30% for Seth is right. And then I come back to 35% on Beatonbow. You've had a decade.
yeah, yeah,
And look, and like I said this in Discord the other day, I like I we have a fan base that's ready to fire coordinators faster than any fan base in the country. We have a fan base that's ready for backup quarterbacks to play faster than any fan base in the country. I have never heard so many excuses made for a coach as I have for Bill Bedenbaugh. Right? He had the Joe Moore Award, and it was like, well, Benny Wiley. Ever since Benny Wiley's got here, he's ruined his offensive lineman. If we want now that Benny's gone and we're getting Schmitty built, you just wait. You just wait and see what happens with that, right? Then it
hmm
was, well, he got outbagged in the NIL department and kids don't know what they're doing and they can't this and they can't. I mean, it's like what other excuse are we going to make here? They're all hurt. They're not healthy. It's like, dude, you got sophomores and juniors on this roster that don't even know how to put their hands on somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I like what else are we going to give him at this point? Like, they've been Schmitty built now for 3 seasons.
Mm.
They ain't moving nobody. Like,
So, well, on the flip side of things, we got Auburn coming up on Saturday,
yeah,
right? And I do believe I've been looking at Auburn stuff. They're in a worse spot than we are, which is crazy. Listen to this. They have 14 turnovers in the first 4 games.
yeah,
14.
but six in one game.
Okay, they've had 8 outside of that in
Yeah,
3 other games. Like, dude, we think we've had it bad. They've had it way worse. They're actually looking at all 4 quarterbacks to see who wants to start on
yeah.
Saturday. Like, and at least we have an elite defense. They have a decent defense, but it's nowhere near ours.
They have a good defense. They do. It's not. Yeah, it's not ours. Now again, here's where I just find it hilarious. Um, everybody's going in this game, and I agree. The offense is horrendous. For Auburn, I 100% agree with you. Um, I think I've heard one person mention that we're about to take a true freshman into his first start into Auburn.
Yeah, it's a wild thing to think about.
It Like all we talked about leading up to the Tennessee game is how bad our crowd was going to rattle Nico, who's
And we
actually
did rattle them. We did rattle them.
who's been around college football and has stood on the sidelines an entire season at SEC like atmospheres. Like that wasn't new. It was new for him in the sense of having to communicate and do and be, but it wasn't new for him. This is new
Mhm.
for Mike Hawkins. He has never sat in a hostile SEC crowd ever. And he's also going to be playing, trying to literally resurrect the offense from the dead
Mhm.
on this
Mhm.
trip as well. Like he's going to be rattled, real rattled. And here's the bad news: while their defense is not great, here's the thing about Tennessee's defense. If you really watch them, Tennessee knows their defensive line's elite. So you know what they do? They line up the same way every time and say, "Here we come."
Mhm.
Now they do some twists, they do some stunts, they do this and that. Auburn, on the other hand, goes, "Look, we're good, but we're not great." So they line up in 3-man front. Then all of a sudden they'll pull a backer down that lines up as a defensive end, and they'll go 4-man front. Then they'll bring both backers down and play a bear front. I mean, they are highly multiple, just like BV is. Which
Mhm.
what's the problem for your offensive line when you're seeing multiple different fronts?
They're gonna get confused.
Mm, yeah, that should go great. And then I listened to Gabe today. I didn't notice this on the tape, because I don't understand offensive line play enough. But he goes, dude, whoever is scheming their stuff up played offensive line at some point or just knows the rules really well. Because he said that they do an alignment where he said, look, if I was the center, it would be an instant. We are sliding right, sliding left protection, right? Like that's what I would call. We would slide 4 guys one way. And then as soon as you do that, they bring a backer and a safety on the backside. So like they don't show the blitz, they show like this look where it's kind of offset and they get you to slide the protection over and then they bring the blitz on the backside. And he goes, and look, they just watch. If you don't slide, then they bring the front side that you should be sliding to. If you do slide, then they bring the guys on the backside. He's like, it's brilliant. It's like, I stop talking because I have zero confidence at this point right now that anybody in our backfield is going to stay alive. Like, dude, I don't know what they're gonna do, but they're gonna have to do something. And I don't know, man. What we shall see.
I mean, do the stuff that you were doing in the first quarter. They were moving the pocket with Jackson. They were doing sweeps and jet sweeps and halfback sweeps and little bubble screens here and there.
Yep.
They were getting to the edges, and it was hurting Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? went completely away from it. Completely away from it
Yeah.
after that. Why? Did Tennessee, let me ask you that. I legitimately don't know. Why did we get away from it? Did Tennessee make an adjustment where we were like, oh, we got to start running up the middle, which we can't do?
No, I mean, honestly, I mean, if you go back, I mean, I think the turnovers were a huge issue in all that. I mean, think about it. Like, I know they said that BV has said the play should have been run up the middle, but I mean, the play that they ran there was an RPO that you either hand off or you hit the edge.
Yeah.
And BV basically said that it should have been handed off up the middle. So there was still an edge element to that play,
Mm-hmm.
right? The one where Jackson ran it should have been thrown. It was an RPO that should have been thrown. So you would have been on the edge, but instead he runs the power up the middle and he fumbles it,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I mean, you got that play. And then you have I mean, I say that when you really slow the play down, I understand how Jackson Arnold threw the pick that he threw, but like once you turn your eyes over there, you got to see that guy dropping back on you like that. And
There was
you
barely
know,
like there was barely even somebody like he was barely open even if he didn't wasn't dropping
yeah,
back.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like, so I think we feel like he got away from all that, but at the same time, I think that the turnovers were happening. I think they were just trying to calm him down at that point. I think they were just trying to salvage something because again, that's
Yeah.
the thing that I do have some whatever it is, sympathy, empathy, whatever for Seth Luttrell. Like the sweeps. Well, when Burks gets hurt, they brought Sam Franklin in the game at running back, and then they split him out in that slot, and they ran the sweep. And guess what happened? It went for -6 because a wide receiver couldn't block.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, like, what happens if I run that play again and it goes? The whole crowd's going to be going, "Why are we running that play? What are we doing?" And it's like it's not a Seth problem; it's an execution problem
I
because
think
it's
it's all,
there.
all of it together because really good OCs, they also know when to pull the trigger on certain plays in certain situations.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when you really watch the tape, Troy, like there's plays there to be made, and one guy doesn't do something, and it's all over with. Like, and he did it the last time. Like that's what's so confusing about this
It's just
team.
so wild, man.
It's so confusing. So yeah, on to Auburn. I mean, look, their offense is terrible. My only fear in this game right now, obviously, is the offense, of course, but my true fear is the defense is just going to let down
Yeah.
because they're going to watch the tape and go, these guys suck.
Yeah.
And they're not going to bring the edge like they did on Saturday. And and if they start building momentum at home with that crowd, it's going to snowball. It's going to snowball. And then the offense is going to feel that much more pressure, and you're going to get beat. And guess what? 5-7's on the table
Yeah. Yeah.
right now.
It
Five and
is.
seven's on the table.
Yeah.
And now, by the
Oh,
way, with the way things are looking, Troy, and you just said BV takes a lot of responsibility in this thing. How you feeling about that 5-7 bet now?
oh no, I'm fine with that. I don't, he's not getting fired this year, period. 100%. I think the offensive staff might get completely canned, but I think I still believe, and even if we don't win another game, I believe BV will not get fired.
Wait, you're thinking that this team went 3-9, he doesn't get fired?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he'd resign.
We didn't talk about that. We
I,
didn't talk about
they're
firing.
not going to announce it as a resignation. It's going to be announced as a firing, but BV's going to go in and go, "You've got to cut me loose.
You got to fire me.
You have to." And honestly, like I think BV's that kind of guy. Like I am not doing the job. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's been coaching for 20 plus years, and he's never had a losing season except his first year as a head coach at OU. He's about to have his second in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, is I I'm not saying he should or shouldn't. I'm not going that route.
Just that it
But I'm
won't.
saying he won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, by the way, did you get a bunch of hail last night?
Not at our house, no, but my wife did at the parking lot that she parked her car in that she was watching our daughter do tumbling practice.
Because I think it went more south, right? Like that big
Yeah.
old hailstorm went south. Because I'm looking at some videos and it was
Oh, it was
wild. Some
rough.
of the
Yeah.
hail.
Yeah, we got some dings on the car, so that'll be fun
Yeah,
to deal with as well. But so
that's
how do you
good.
feel the Auburn game goes? Like what is your gut feel for this game right now, Troy?
I don't know. That's the problem. Like it's really hard to get a feel for anything because we have such limited context from Michael Hawkins and how Luttrell coaches him and calls plays. And if I had to guess, oh God, we win 24-14.
I don't think we can get 24 points.
We'll see. But like that would be my guess.
Hmm. I'm gonna go
Because
seven. I'd go
because
17-14.
we did get 14 points Hawkins after he settled in.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Um,
So,
but
anywho, I don't have. We talked about having a top five. I don't have a top five ready. I
well, we
got
talked
nothing.
about I know you listened, you said there's not much in there, but like look, Thunder season's like upon us. Presti had a
It is
press
upon us.
conference today.
Yeah, yeah,
We gotta talk a
yeah.
little Thunder here.
All right,
Anything
hold on.
anything that really stuck out to you?
No, the problem is nothing really stuck out except for
I
some
did
of
see
his
he gave
quotes.
like a beat, like a Brent Venables answer to one question today. Golly, I can't remember what it was now.
There's a few things. There's a few things. So like there's one quote like he just said I can't remember what is in context to, but I mean he is full of just great quotes. Like he said social media is a sport, but scrolling is a lifestyle. It's like gosh, dang. I love you, Sam Presti. He also told like this is also a really interesting quote. The fans. He said the thing that strikes me about our fans is really unique
Yeah.
here. They don't just say they're excited. They talk about how the team has changed the city for the better. They're not just spectating the game, they're seeing the whole picture. That's pretty special. That revs me up. Like he's a very aware individual.
Yes. Here it is. I'm not going to read this whole thing. For those of you that watch on YouTube, you can see this. Sam Presti said at his end of the season presser, he may need to reevaluate the idea of midseason trades, which is his way of saying we totally flopped with our Gordon Hayward trade.
Yeah.
And then he said, I asked him today if he anticipates being open to the possibility of any midseason additions this year. Presti's full answer. Like it's two full pages
Yeah. I know.
of like his diatribe of what he would do in the situation. The opening. I mean, I'm not going to violate my rule of like gotta stay open.
hmm
I mean, just so
No,
crazy.
nothing stood out outside of the fact that we have I am very excited about this season. Like I am very, very excited. And so I guess I would say I'm more excited about the Thunder season because of the way that the OU season is kind of turned on us a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
um I I truly do think we are one of the few teams that can vie for a championship this year.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for it. I want to see it. I want to see how iHeart and Caruso are is mixed in with the team, what the rotations. It's all fascinating to me, and I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I really don't with what Coach Daggs and company can do. I don't think there's a wrong answer because they have so much depth. Their
Yeah.
top nine guys are as good as anybody in basketball. And they have so much defense that on paper, I told you this earlier, on paper, they have one of the best defenses ever put together on paper before the season starts.
Yeah. And which leads me to this. I thought this was a great quote today. Sam Presti. I think there's a difference between picking players and selecting a team. I like the way this team has been selected.
It's not like he's just full of the quotes, man.
Dude. I mean, like you and I talked about this a little bit on the phone today, just and we said this last year, but I do believe it's upgraded. The roster is upgraded in their versatility, you know?
Yes.
I mean, if you're
We were
playing
already one of the more versatile teams in the NBA
yes, and now it's even
already.
like for you play Golden State, I don't know if you start Hartenstein. I think you put like Caruso, Dort, Shea, J. Will, and Chet on the floor
Yeah. Yeah.
and just eat on those guys that are on the wing. But if you play like the Timberwolves, you absolutely play I Heart, you know, Chet, J. Will.
hmm
You
I
probably do,
I would love that. I would love it to just the rotations change from game to game, but that's just not the NBA way.
but
It never has been.
it was for the Thunder last year.
No, it wasn't. It was for the back half of the bench. For the back half of the
That's
bench,
true. The starting lineup
the
locked in and
starting
stayed.
lineup was locked in the entire year. Their rotations were the exact same outside of them realizing they that Giddy couldn't play anymore in the
Right.
playoffs.
Right.
That was the only change. Outside of that, their rotations were exactly the same the entire year from the starters.
Yeah,
And for the most part, Isaiah Joe and some of those guys. So
I hope that they will experiment with that a little bit based on the matchup.
I think it'd be fun. I don't know if they will. I think
I
it'd
don't
be
know
really
either.
fun.
I
If
I
I
think
were a bet
and
man,
the more I think about it, you're right. The starting lineup never changed. I do think that you could see them tinkering with that in the minutes played. I think they
well,
did
remember
do
at
the
the start they started one thing and then they found something with Chet and J-Dub coming off the floor, putting all the subs in with Shea because he's good
yeah.
enough. He is a superstar to just continue eating like the other team, the opposing team's lunch, without the starters. And then J-Dub and Chet come back in, they
Hmm.
work it together. They found that rotation, and once they finished at that point,
Yeah.
it's like he had to tinker for about I would say like a fifth of the season or something like that to find that rotation. And then once you saw like J-Dub just do his thing with by himself and with
Mhm.
Chet, man, it was a special thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And now this year to think about when you do sub those guys out, you leave iHeart on the floor with Shea. Your big man situation is so much better.
Yeah. Like yeah, exactly. Like they can run the pick and roll a lot more. And then you bring in Caruso, like Dort goes out, Caruso comes in. Good luck. Like
And
if
that
you
that part, like you and I, like we were arguing kind of about like who will they start? Will they start Caruso or will they start
Mhm.
Dort a little bit? You know, because I think there's some people that are on both sides. But like either way, like for whoever that primary wing is for a team, or as at Presti, I think kept calling it the you want to stop the point of attack, or Dagnall talked
Mhm.
about that, right? Like Dort's going to go to the bench, and you're just going to watch Caruso come on the floor, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Like there is no here's here's my chance to cut into this.
I
That's like
do I am curious though, like because I think Caruso and iHeart are too good to be on the bench, frankly. Like to start like I don't know what they're gonna do from that perspective. It's fascinating to me. Um if they want to go all defense, think about this. Let's think about all
oh
defense,
my
right?
gosh.
Shea,
Yep.
Dort,
Yep.
Caruso,
Kaysen.
Kaysen and
Chet
Chet or iHeart,
or
honestly. Like
Hart.
let's
Yeah.
say like Chet. That tell me where you're deficient offensively in that lineup. Maybe Dort, but he shot 40% last year.
Yeah.
The entire year,
Yeah.
not just a
The
stretch.
the only thing you're deficient there is obviously with Dort, Caruso, and Kaysen, you're short. You're not
But here's the
long.
thing. You're playing that lineup whenever they're not playing the other team's not playing bigs.
Yeah.
So that doesn't
Exactly. Yeah.
matter.
All right. Right.
It's
That's
out.
what I'm saying. Like, but you're just I'm just saying, like
And by
that's
the
the
way,
only
I didn't even say J Dub. J Dub might be better than like you could sub J Dub in for Shea if you
yeah.
wanted some more length. Like there is It is absolutely wild. And like, what? Let me ask you this: what's the best offensive five? We talked about defense.
Dub, Chet, and Shea for
Shay,
sure, no doubt.
yeah, yeah.
I think next I would put, but see, he's so hot and cold. I mean, I want to say Joe.
Yeah. Wiggins technically shot a higher percentage than he
I
did
see,
last
and that's
year.
the other guy. Like I'm flirting with which one of those two guys. Like, and honestly, I think this is gonna sound. I think I would put Wiggins in before I would put Joe in,
Well,
just because.
here's the problem. I think Caruso is better than both of them
Yeah, and
offensively.
that's why. Well, that's what I'm trying to. I'm with you. I think Caruso has to be on that floor with them. I'm trying to decide between Wiggins and Joe, and I understand that Joe got more minutes and everybody loves him, but Wiggins has more in his bag than Joe
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like he can facilitate, he can drive, he shoots the ball at a high clip. Like he just brings so much of that decision making chaos that they want on the floor. Like I think with him on the floor, like literally J Dub could run pick and roll, slash, kick, all of it. So can Wiggins. So can Shea. Caruso's fine at it, but like Wiggins can like, and then
No,
Chet can't.
Caruso's a very good offensive player.
I know. I don't love his attack game. It's still good. I don't think it's
You, you need to watch him more.
I
Just
I
give
know.
him a chance. Watch him more because he's another point guard on the floor.
I do want to see him dunk some though. I'm ready to see that.
Like he shot 41% behind the arc.
Right.
He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA, if not the best perimeter
Right.
defender
Right.
in the NBA. Um, he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He can shoot it. He can also facilitate. And on the break, he's electric.
He
And
is
what
going the
what
break. But
and
I'm just saying,
we're
when
gonna
you
we're
ask me
done.
for that lineup, for me, Caruso is the guy I would put in the corner, and I would let the other four work.
And I don't think there's a wrong because here's the thing: you put him in the corner, they sag off of him. He can also check the lob. If he starts sneaking in on the dunker spot there, he can
Yeah.
go for the lob too.
Exactly. That's what
And s-
that's the only thing I mean. Like, it's not that I'm saying his drive game is bad. I trust those other four to kind of be in that position. And like you said, there's so much with him in that corner that causes issues from the lob issue to the shooting issue to decision making issue.
my my wife just starts printing something. She knows I'm podcasting right now. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm about to text her. Like, what are you thinking? Oh my gosh!
That's like we
Why
can't hear. I can't hear it. Maybe those listening right now, the two people listening can hear it. Um, but no,
she's
man,
brain dead.
I am like I just can't wait. I cannot wait for Thunder season to get here and just see
And
how it works.
it's
And I want it to work. Like, please, God, do not let us please go through this whole build up like we did with college football. That it's all gonna be great and it just come crashing down with stupidity and injuries.
good. It could just be the year from hell, frankly.
Ugh, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. So,
Yes, you
all
can.
right,
You can
we
just
don't
do
have
it.
a top five, but let's pick a couple games, shall we? Very quickly
Sure, why not?
end this thing off. And I'm sorry, I forgot to tally where we are in the picks, but we're still going to do some anyway. I thought this one would be interesting because it is an SEC game. And I was frankly a little bit surprised at how well they've played. So, how about Kentucky at Old Miss?
What's the line?
Kentucky, the line is Mississippi by 17 and a half. The
Yeah,
total is
yeah.
53 and a half.
Man, I would take the over in Ole Miss.
Really?
hmm I agree. Kentucky has outperformed expectations, but
Their
still.
defense looked elite against Georgia. They were everywhere making plays.
I don't disagree with you, but still, like I'm taking. I am taking Ole Miss in the points and the over because, well, I mean, they they hung with Georgia, but then they got worked by South Carolina.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
So
By the way, South
I don't know.
Carolina is a much better football team than anybody was giving them credit for before the season.
Guys, I got on offense. Pretty good. That's pretty. By the
If
way,
their
Jeff,
quarterback gets healthy, I will take
Jeff,
I
yeah,
would take Kentucky in the points there.
okay.
I
All
think
right,
it's
that's
like a
fine.
14 point game, something like that. Um, I just don't see them blowing them out by 18 or 20 points. I don't see it. So think they'll be up, they'll be ready to go. Let's go Big 12. Number
Mm,
20, Oklahoma State coming off a loss. Kansas
hmm.
State coming into that game. It's at Kansas State. Kansas State by 5.
Give me Kansas State
Yeah,
and the
me too.
points.
I'm with you. With you 100.
Oklahoma's offense, Oklahoma State's offense is not as bad as OU's, but it's not good.
Well, it's all Bowman. When Bowman plays like Bowman does, but he always has a couple games where he
I
looks
know.
amazing. Like he's just, it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of situation. Let's go now to the independent slash ACC matchup of Louisville at number 15 versus Notre Dame, number 16 at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored by 6.5.
Yeah, give me Notre Dame and the points.
I'm going to take Louisville to cover on
Okay,
the points. Not
that's
win
fair.
straight up, but to cover on the points.
Yeah,
I think
all right.
Louisville's a much better team than people think. Two more. Number 19, Illinois at Penn State. And
Mm.
Penn State is favored by 19.
Well, I gotta see who Illinois has played real quick.
Oh, they just had a big win, my friend. They
Um,
beat up in overtime Nebraska
why are you laughing?
because it, as it's Nebraska. I mean, come on.
Give me Penn State and the points.
Okay, I'm taking Illinois in the points. Illinois' defense is for real. They're good.
Okay.
It took overtime for Nebraska to get to 30 points. And I think Dylan Raiola is actually a pretty dang good football player. Uh, so I think that's a 10-point game at the most on the road there. And then last but not least, we've kind of already done it, but Oklahoma is favored by 2 on the road
Are
at
we
Auburn.
not picking the Bama Georgia game?
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally skipped right past
What
it.
is wrong
I'm
with you?
so sorry. I am a failure at life and in all things that are holy and good and all the things. I'm so sorry.
I was just
Okay.
like, I was waiting for it. I was like, hey,
Georgia Bama, it's at Alabama. Georgia favored by 2.
gosh, it's nearly a pick 'em here. Um, I'm going Bama in this game.
Me too. I wanted you to go Georgia so bad so I could be on the other side of it. Dude,
Jalen Milrow looks good.
I think Bama looks good.
I think I
Bama's gonna beat us by 50.
Bama looks really good.
You should go look at their defensive stats.
No,
They are in the top 3 in like 6 different categories. They are so good. So, so good. Okay. Oklahoma at Auburn, -2. I think you already kind of picked it. You're picking Oklahoma.
yeah, I'm picking Oklahoma. What did I say that the score is going to be 24-14?
Yeah, I believe that's what
24-14.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch the over under, which is at 45 and a half.
Oh, Lord, no. God, if I had money, I'd be hammering the over right now. Or, I mean, the under. I'd
I
be
was like,
hammering it.
really? The over?
No, the under. Oh,
Yeah.
I might go see if Tyler can make a quick trip to Vegas for us and just send a bunch of money with him to do the under. Good Lord. Yeah, and I'm gonna barely say we cover. I'm saying 17-14.
Okay. All right,
17
but
to 14.
we're both very confident in our picks.
Oh yeah.
All
All of you listening, take this to the bank. Go make some wagers. and you're going to be in a great position to really tell your wife why you lost all that money. So, should be just fine. We have no top five. That is it. Troy, was good for you to be on here.
That was fun, my
This
friend.
would have this would have gone so much worse of me just going down a really dark hole without you
Next
here.
time, next time, let's do my idea of like just doing it like in a super positive manner. And like
Yes, so
if we
for all of you that don't know, we were talking about this for like the 30 seconds before we got on. Troy's like, let's talk about it all bad, but like in such a really positive tone, like, and make it all sound like it's so good.
No, what we're gonna do if we lose to
Gosh,
Auburn, we're coming on here next week and we're just gonna be like, look, it's not all doom and gloom. Look at this, the
it's
sky is shining. We're above ground. The
guys,
Lord loves us. What is wrong? Like, there is nothing wrong in
guys,
this life.
Michael Hawkins completed his third pass.
He
Like,
was, yeah. I mean, guys, he was 49%, not 48%. That's a win in its of
that's
itself.
a win.
That's a
Guys,
win.
we converted 2 out of 25 third downs. That's
If we
more
just
than one.
convert like 10 more, we probably win that game. That's it. That's all we have to do. Well, look at this. Like, I'm not kidding. Like,
Oh my
if
gosh.
we lose, you can fully expect to be the opposite of everything. I will be.
Sunshine Doom, the Sunshine Doom pod.
I will. It'll be the most sarcastic you've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love it. I'm all in for it. I'm all in for it if it all goes down. Oh, and by the way, just really quick, we did not run Dylan Gabriel off. I know it's already been discussed, it's been talked
Dude,
about.
what is up with the animal? Like, what is up with Sam Humphries and like Kerry Murdoch and everybody going after her? Like, what is happening?
Well, Sam went off on his tirade of BV should be fired because he ran Dylan Gabriel out of town. And then
Oregon.
Kerry basically just came back and said that's not how it went down. And then Sam was like, you're just getting all your this is the problem with you guys that are insiders. Y'all just listen to what the coaches tell you and assume it's all true and report it. And then Kerry said, Dylan came on our channel on YouTube and explained the whole situation. And not once did he say he was asked to leave. He was telling BV he was leaving before the season ever started, and then still wanted to leave because Levy left, and that's the whole reason he came here was to be reunited with Levy and his offense. I mean, he basically just like told him to shut up and quit trying to create a narrative that's not a narrative. I mean, there's been several podcasts that have put that out there though, that BV told Dylan Gabriel, you need to leave because Jackson Arnold's better than you. And that is not how it went.
It's also wild to me. Like, you went and toured their facilities, but dude, what is going on with the NIL at UNLV?
Dude, I don't know.
That
Look
is
here,
this
I
is
will say this. This is what does not make sense to me. I do not understand how you transferred in January, and you were promised money, and you're telling me you went through the end of winter, spring ball, summer workouts, fall camp, and 3 games. And now all of a sudden you're going, they didn't pay me
yeah,
8 months in. Now,
wild.
so I think honestly, I can't make sense of that. I know that there's a whole bunch of reporting out there saying, well, he didn't know what to do because there was no contract. Well, if you don't have a contract, you got nothing on NIL stuff, right? But like for
Hmm.
case in point, Jaden Rashada, who was supposed to go to Florida, like he had stuff that they were telling him they were going to pay him 10 million. And literally, he was supposed to be moving to campus and said, "Where's my check?" And they said, "We ain't got it." He said, "Well, then I'm transferring." He never went to campus. Like, I'm sorry, somebody promises me $100,000 salary, which is what he's claiming, the UNLV guy. I think here's what's happened. Everybody wrote off UNLV because their quarterback left. They lost some other guys. They actually had some stuff in the pipeline. They did a good job building the program. And now they're succeeding. They've beaten some teams that people were picking them to lose to. They're 3-0, and it's risen the stock of all the players.
Hmm.
And they're now trying to renegotiate, and they're going, look, man, you don't renegotiate and give me what you want, I'll just redshirt and I'm out of here. I mean, I think that's exactly because this is where the NCAA's failed in not having any regulations, no contracts, no
Yep.
nothing. And so these kids are doing this kind of stuff. And what are you supposed to do? Because you
Dude,
can't
it's
cower
yeah.
to it. Because if you cower to it, you're going to lose your entire locker room. Which, by the way,
Just
the
gosh.
quarterback that's bailing to go somewhere else, I looked it up today. He's throwing for a whopping 43.7% completion percentage.
That's worse than Jackson.
Yeah, but he can run like the freaking wind. That's where their offense is coming from. And then off of that, they're getting big plays that they're creating for him. Like, I understand your market's gone up, but like if you think you're going to go get P5 money, that ain't happening. You have not been that good. Now, the running back, maybe so. I didn't look at his stats, and I saw right before we got on here that the running back was leaving as well and doing the same thing.
Jeez.
But again, I don't understand how you transfer in spring and then supposedly
Yeah.
get no money through spring, through summer, through fall. You play 3 games, and now all of a sudden we didn't get money.
No, they got money. They just didn't get the like somebody
The
like
article that came out from the agent of the quarterback, Sluka, said all he got was his stipend, which is an
mm,
NCAA thing. That's what he says in the article. He never saw any NIL money. All he got was his player established stipend. And that's the thing. The guys that are listening to the agent and his camp are all saying he got nothing. And UNLV saying we had no agreements for anything. And this is them just trying to renegotiate the price at the 12th hour. And you are going to see this, especially for kids like him. He was at Holy Cross, bro.
yeah, got like are there not contracts signed?
There are, but again, here's the thing. He was a Holy Cross kid. Not a lot of teams were looking at him from the P5 side of it. So a lot of the G5 kids don't have agents. It's mom and
Hmm.
dad and them doing all this stuff, right? But here's the thing. When kids excel their expectation, guess who starts trying to find them? The agents do.
Mm.
Well, what's the agent getting their money off of? The agent's getting the money off the contract.
Right, right.
So now they're wanting to re up the contract because it gets them more money.
Right.
I mean, like, this is where the cycle of it all is just gross, and it's all because the NCAA are idiots.
It's crazy.
It's
All
so
right.
crazy. All right.
Let's wrap it up.
Troy's, Troy's ready to go to bed. We've ranted. We have wailed. Feel free to hit us up.
How's your
Comment on
fantasy team doing?
YouTube. Comment on all the stuff. Let us know what you think, and let's see what happens this next week. I wish that we could say we're having a great time. I would say more we're having an okay time, and we hope you are too as a Sooner fan. And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker.